Some games are notorious. Some for being good, some for being really bad, some other just for having a unique twist to them. Either way, all those games share one thing in common, which is they all have a reputation that precedes them. Now, I often don't agree with popular opinion about games, usually ending up liking games that nobody likes or vice versa. That's why in this series I want to take a look at some of those notorious games to see if they really live up to their reputation. The first one we're tackling today is Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Oh boy, that's not a small one, isn't it? So this game is known for being bad. It even may be the worst Zelda game ever made. But is it true? Well, let's dive in and find out. Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link is an NES game released in the US on December 1st, 1988 and is a direct sequel to the other NES game The Legend of Zelda, which came out 1 year before. The game follows the adventure of, well, Link. A couple of years after he rescued the Princess Zelda, killed the evil Ganon, and restored peace to the land of Hyrule, all of which takes place in the first game. This time around, here's how it goes. Princess Zelda has been put under a sleep spell, while some evil people are trying to revive Ganon. That's as much backstory as you will get. Alright, so let's kick it off with the most important question here. Is Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link as bad as everyone says? Well, I don't think so. I think this game is actually pretty fun. Sure, it's really hard and it's not always fair, but it's fun. I wouldn't even go as far as to say that it's a good NES game. I can see, however, why opinions are splitted here. It is a pretty hard game, and it does have its fair share of infuriating moments. But so does the first game as well, and a lot of other games for that matter. So let's dive into the most popular complaints people have towards Zelda 2. It's hectic. Boy, how many times have I been told this game is too hard because it's completely hectic? But is it really? Well, granted, you will need to figure some things out by yourself, you know, like in any other video game ever. Most of the time, you've got yourself some pretty good tips from town folks, and never once have I felt the need to go look up online for a guide to be able to move forward in the game. Most of their clues make sense and are actually helpful. And yeah, sure, once in a while you get something weird like this guy. But there are so few of them, it never hinders your overall experience. Actually, it may be one of the most straightforward Zelda games. Every single path you need to take to move forward is clearly indicated with a very obvious road on the overworld map, and most of the hidden treasures like heart containers are found in very obvious locations through the game. Only once or twice will you have to really look deeper to find more hidden objects or locations, like this hidden town. Speaking of towns, they all follow the same pattern. You will find a woman that replenishes your health, the old lady that fills up your magic, and a house with someone who needs help with something. They're easy to spot since they're the ones stepping out of their houses when you walk by them. They usually ask for something stupid like, "I lost my mirror! It's in your neighbor's house!" Once you help them, they lead you to the town's wizard, which gives you your next magic spell, like that one that gives you armor, or this one that heals you up, or this one that makes you spell better. Everybody else in town either give you some kind of tip, or are getting ready for their Game of Thrones audition. RPG elements. Okay, this one, I just don't get it. RPGs have always been one of the most popular video game genre of all time. Sure, it might look weird nowadays after around like 15 more Zelda games released across multiple platforms, but back in the days, it was the second Zelda game ever made. They were trying something new, and it's not flawed or anything. Sure, it's different, but it's well made and it really holds up all through the game. It's fairly simple. You kill enemies, you get experience points, and when you have enough, you gain a level. You will also come across some pea bags, or whatever it's supposed to be called. I'm just gonna call them pea bags, because they're bags of pee. I'm 5 years old. Anyway, they will grant you bonus experience points. They are to get picked up with care, because if you're game over, you lose all the experience you accumulated so far and go back to 0. Although you do keep your levels. Sure, it's frustrating to lose all the experience points you've gathered, but it gives you an additional incentive not to die. And getting stronger and tougher throughout the game really makes you feel like you're growing, and it feels awesome. And never will you need to grind experience points or levels to be able to move forward in the game. My only gripe with this system is that when you level up, the game gives you the choice to boost either your health power, magic power, or attack power. But there's always only one choice available each time. That's not what we call a choice. Why do you even ask me what I want to upgrade? Why don't you just upgrade it automatically? Also, upgrading your health or magic won't actually give you more health or magic. To do that, you still need to find heart containers and magic enhancers hidden here and there. I think that upgrading your health makes you tougher, and upgrading your magic makes your spell less expensive. Though, the game never really tells you. Dungeons are confusing. Sure, okay, the dungeons can be a bit confusing, since there's no map system in the game. But then again, never have I felt lost in any of them. Well, maybe except the last one, but we'll get to that. The enemies' patterns are easy to grasp. And yeah, sure, Link's reach sucks, but it is a minor issue and one that can be easily overcome. For example, all those knights have the same weakness: jump and strike. See? Jump and strike. It's easy. Always just jump and go to hell. The bosses are fun and challenging. They are not too hard, yet not too easy. Well, except for this one. This one is stupid. I'm crouching. I'm not doing anything else. However, there are some drawbacks as well. For starters, when you're game over, the game respawns you at the beginning of the game. And yeah, it sucks. If you're in the overworld, I guess I could get it. But in a dungeon, it wouldn't be that hard to make you start at the entrance, and would alleviate a huge pain when playing the game, especially since the dungeons are supposed to be the most challenging parts. Also, some enemies seems to have been placed really randomly, or to be just an inconvenience. Look at this guy. And then, there's some enemies that are downright painful, like those flying heads. All because when you get hit, you get pushed back. Yep, it's a lazy design trick to make a level feel harder, and I hate it. And then there's those ever-spawning flying Seriously, who designed those? Whose idea was this? Who thought that was a good idea? But as I was saying, most of the game is fine. That is, until you get to the last dungeon. First, when heading to the final palace, the final stretch of the game is filled with those rooms, filled with stupid death pits and flying coconut eyeballs. And once you finally get to the dungeon, hell breaks loose. It becomes one long endurance round. I mean, look at this map. It's a huge maze with hidden walls, trap floors, and the enemies are way stronger than before. This one is hard as hell. Also, I have to mention that 2 of the dungeons requires you to get to the end with some magic left. You need to use a spell on the bosses in order to defeat them. One of those 2 is the final dungeon, and the spell you need to use is the most expensive spell of the whole game. Yep, you heard me right. You need to find your way around that insane dungeon all the way to the end while keeping more than half of your magic to use on the boss. Although there's a lot of fairies, magic potion, and extra lives scattered around the dungeon, they're mostly hidden behind secret walls. However, when you're game over, you do get back to the entrance of the palace, so there's no reason not to keep going at this point. I also need to mention, the final boss of the game is really fun. It is a really strategic fight with a lot of depths. It's hard, it's good, it's fun, it lasts long. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. So I think it's safe to say that this game is really the black sheep of this series. However, being different doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's just different. For example, take the fact that the game is now a side-scrolling game. Is it bad? No, it's well done, and it gives the game the opportunity to give us more fun platforming throughout the game. Or the fact that we now have experience points. I sure love some RPG elements shoved into my favorite games. Why not? It's cool. Sure, it's frustrating when you lose all your experience points every time your game over, but you get used to it and you learn to deal with it. And it really gives the player a sense of progression throughout the whole game. The overworld is weird at first, and it is ugly as hell, but it's more intuitive than many NES games. Hell, it's even more intuitive than the overworld of the first Zelda game. Now at least you have a slight idea where to head to. It's true that the sense of adventuring and discovering the world all by yourself has been replaced with some slightly more RPG elements and action-packed platforming. The dungeons may be one of the most fun part of the game. They feel imaginative and inspired. The new enemies you encounter there are always a fun challenge. The bosses are, for the most part, fun and challenging as well. Yeah, I'm still looking at you. It sure is frustrating to always spawn back at the beginning of the game when you die. It's unfair and unnecessary. But it does give you an incentive to be careful and, not to die. In the end, Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link is a really fun game. I had a very good time playing through. It's true that I had my moments of frustration. Like I said, this game is not always fair, but the fun you get during the most part of the game will make up for those unfair deaths. This game is worth playing through. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Let me know. If you like what you saw and you want to support me, hit that like button right there. If you want to see more of it, just hit that subscribe button somewhere here. And I'll see you in the next video.